songs, let me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
So I think one, just being outdoors in a beautiful park, when you're able to get out on the lake, do a lake patrol on a patrol boat, take in the weather, makes it a lot harder to have a bad day than it can in an office environment or some of the others. And then on the flip side, kind of every year as I grow, get a little bit more leadership skills, the impact that you have not only on your employees, but the community, and getting to witness some of the programs and the events that you do, you put in the effort and you almost see it instantaneous on how it impacts the community.
All right, we are live again. This is Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. This is part of the DPRS Media Network. DPRS stands for Daily Parks and Rec Show. In an effort to create the first media company similar to what you see in ESPN, we wanted to create something similar to that, but all for Parks and Recreation. And fast forward to today, now we're up to 15 shows, 17 show hosts that are doing content daily, weekly, monthly, producing about 17 hours of live content every week. We've also got a couple of new shows coming up, but Carla, why don't you go ahead and pull up the YouTube promo? So in an effort to try to get us above 1,000 subscribers, we didn't start on YouTube. We actually started on LinkedIn and Facebook. And then as our content library is just, we're up to like 600 videos. We're like, all right, we got to start promoting our YouTube channel. So most of you are viewing us on Facebook, X, or LinkedIn. But if you want access to our content library, just find us on YouTube and please subscribe there. And once we get above 1,000 subscribers, I think we're approaching 600 since we started to make this push, then we'll be able to live stream on YouTube. So that'll open up some functionality for us as we strive to get the word out about what's going on in Parks and Recreation. All right, Carla, pull up our TV guide. So y'all remember these old TV guides, right? And so these are all of our shows so far. And we've actually got a few new ones that are going to be popping up here soon. But it kind of shows the time of day, the show logo, and what day of the week that they're airing. So we'll just kind of run through them real quick, and I'll tell you a little bit about each show. So next we have the Leadership Series. That's this show right now. This was the original show that I cooked up, where we just find Parks and Rec professionals across the country that are great leaders, have great stories, strong whys, and we just wanted to kind of share their life's journey into Parks and Recreation and have them share any wisdom or gold nuggets they've attained over the years to share with the rest of the Parks and Rec community. So this show is every Monday through Thursday at 12 noon Eastern time. Let's go to the next show. Okay, so so Monday is becoming like a technology day. And so Ollie, with the help of sponsorship by Amelia, creates a show once a month, first Monday of every month at 1:30 p.m., where we talk about software in Parks and Recreation and how it's really revolutionizing how we communicate with our community, how they onboard their kids to summer programs, to aquatic centers. I mean, it seems like everything's driven by software now. And so we just have a great conversation once a month about that. We produce a show called the Parks and Tech Collective. And then next, on the second and fourth Mondays, we do Smart Parks Forward with very talented host Dave Ramirez, who has 30 years in Parks and Recreation before he started working for Outdoor Link, who is the show sponsor, and where we talk about smart parks. So Smart Parks Forward is the name of the show. You know how we have these smart homes that are controlled by our cell phones now? It seems like you can just control everything with your cell phone now. So imagine if your entire park system, all the infrastructure, bathroom door locks, splash pads, aquatic centers, parking lot lights, baseball field lights, could all be controlled from a central location so that you're not having to send people out in trucks to turn stuff off and on. This is what Outdoor Link does, and this is what the Smart Parks Forward is all about. Pretty much all the hardware technology coming into the industry of Parks and Rec. All right, next on Tuesday, we have On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show with Jonathan Prue. John's been serving on the board of NRPA for decades. He's been serving, I think, 40 years with MWR, which stands for Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. that is the military version of Parks and Recreation, serving not just the soldiers, but their families and children. So if you've done any type of Parks and Rec activity, somebody like John has basically been running it over 300 military bases globally. All right, then next, we have safe spaces and green spaces. So I think we are going to pick up a second show, but for now, it's first Wednesday of every month. Thomas White from Henry County, Georgia, does a show monthly and soon to be bi-monthly, all about, he started the show wanting to talk more about neurodivergence, and that evolved into mental health and the role that Parks and Rec plays in mental health. It's a really good show. A lot of good conversations going on there. Also on Wednesdays, next we have the Rec Room. We just made our 1-year anniversary with them. So we had all the directors, the assistant directors, the athletic director, everybody was on the show yesterday. And so imagine if a very well-run park system was willing to open up their doors and show how the whole team handles special events or farmers market or master planning, and really go into the details about how they handle all the things that are in Parks and Recreation. So we produce a show with them once a month. All right, next, we have also on Wednesdays, 3 p.m., twice a month on the first and third Wednesdays, Beatrice produces a show called Arts in Parks and Rec. And Beatrice has been working on the arts side of Parks and Rec for over 20 years. She's a very accomplished ballerina, world-class training. She's in the Hollywood area, has produced full-length feature films, at least the choreography for them, music videos, and she has found a way to do what she loves in Parks and Recreation, and has been teaching little ballerinas for 20 years through Parks and Rec, opening that up to the poorer communities who otherwise really couldn't afford to take lessons from her. And she has a massive network of arts professionals across the country. And so she's going to be bringing on a lot of arts, performing arts and visual arts professionals that are in Parks and Rec and talk about the programming they offer to their community. All right, next on Thursdays, we have the U Sports Mastery Show. And I think starting in July, it's going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So right now it's at every Thursday for, gosh, I think we're coming up on a year and a half with Aaron. So this is the U Sports Mastery Show, all about rec sports. And the beautiful thing about rec sports is when you think about rec sports, you think that how do we include everyone in the community, not just the future D1 athletes or pro athletes, but the little kids that the only time they may play sports, organized sports, is when they're young, like in grade school. And so this is the main topic of the U Sports Mastery Show. And Aaron's got a massive network after 40 years in the industry of athletic directors, professional coaches, high school coaches, college coaches, officials. He's booked out, I think, till September. So he was like, let's do a second show. So I think starting in July, might be 1st of August, we'll start doing a second U Sports Mastery Show on Tuesdays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, then in that evening, Thursday evening, 5 p.m., we do the Young Professionals Network Show. So when I say young professionals, if you are a college student pursuing a degree in Parks and Rec, if it's your first 1 to 5 years in Parks and Rec, and so you're really just trying to get your bearings straight, create a network of young professionals or meet a network of young professionals, or if you're a professor that teaches at the university on Parks and Rec degrees, if you're a mentor, and especially if you have a strong internship program. We've had several directors that have strong internship programs for college kids to come spend a summer at the Parks and Rec department and show them all the parts of Parks and Recreation. And they've even brought some of their interns on the show with them to talk about their internship program. And this show is really geared towards cultivating and giving a home to the future leaders of Parks and Recreation. Then on Friday, with the help of Papa Jay, who's retiring, I think, in 48 hours. No, less than that. He retires tomorrow. So today's Thursday. No, today is Thursday. Sorry. Losing track of the days here. Tomorrow he's retiring. Decades long over there in California. He was part of Dr. Pepper Social Club, so we changed it to Director Pepper Social Club. And it's just a fantastic network of Parks and Rec professionals that have been doing this for decades. And so he has a great show every Friday at 12 noon Eastern time. And the last show of the week is the Aquatics Life show with Wesley King every Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. If you have an aquatic center, you can go to our YouTube library, just press play on any of the episodes that we've created. I think this is our 14th episode coming up. And I promise you, your aquatics professionals are going to get something out of it. I mean, he has talked about how do you keep your lifeguards, all 4 years throughout high school, how to prepare for opening day, water safety, pool chemicals. I mean, you name it. He is just doing a great job producing evergreen content that's going to drive value to the aquatics people for decades to come. All right, so that's all we have. Let's go back to the YouTube thing. Let me encourage everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can start airing live from YouTube and get that content out there. And also, don't forget, we do have a newsletter that's growing. And then I really want to give a big shout out to all of this new wave of vendors that are helping us to create this media company for the industry. We really couldn't do it without them. It's kind of like you got all the kids loaded on the bus and somebody's got to pay for the fuel. And so without the help of our sponsors, we wouldn't be where we are today. Also, big shout out to all of our show guests. Today, we have John Rife from the city of High Point, North Carolina. Man, North Carolina is coming on like gangbusters. They have got an amazing state association, and we get to talk about how they do Parks and Rec today. So before we get started, let's go ahead and run the transition video and the Aquatics Life promo, and then we'll come right back and start our conversation with John.
Just water. It's responsibility. It's leadership. It's not just drowning prevention or water safety. It's life. And every day, aquatics professionals make decisions that save lives. Because aquatics is more than swim lessons. It's community. It's creativity. It's impact. For over 30 years, aquatics hasn't just been my profession. It's been my life. I've seen the challenges, the pressure, the grind, but I've also seen the power of great leadership and what happens when communities come together. This is where education meets entertainment, where real conversations happen, where aquatics professionals come together to learn, lead, and grow. Because aquatics should bring people together. This is Aquatics Life, streaming on DPRS Media Network.
All right. Welcome to the show, John. How's your week going?
Doing very well, Craig. Appreciate you having me on. Say it's been a busy week this week, but it's been a fun one.
Yeah. So tell us why it's been busy. What time of year is it that keeps y'all so busy?
So one, we have just entered into the summer gauntlet where we are 7 days a week at the swimming pool throughout the park with our amusements, rides, shelter rentals. So yeah, we are very much in full swing. And then we also had our CAPA reaccreditation this week. So we've had some extra visitors, and yeah, it's been eventful.
Yeah. It's for those that have aquatic centers or waterfront properties, this is like the busy time. Do y'all ever take vacations during the summer, or y'all just say, hey, y'all gonna have to vacation after August or something?
No, about as good as it gets. Is sometimes we can alternate every other weekend, but there's no real vacations. Memorial Day to Labor Day, we kind of accept we're here as a team.
Yeah. So what do y'all do to kind of prepare your aquatic center? Maybe talk about the month leading up to it. What is the work y'all have to get done before like the opening each summer?
Yeah, so normally, we'll gear up almost early February and start really assessing some of our operational equipment, safety equipment, making sure that those core components are inspection ready. So things like facility checks, pump room checks, ordering some of those larger supplies. Things as kind of funny as extra life jackets for the new season, lazy river tubes. And then we have a very large facility in a sense for a small parks and rec department. And so the inspections can be a little rigorous. So just really going through those inspection checklists and making sure if there's any like items of concern, we address those way on the front end.
Yeah. And, I think a lot of community members don't realize how big of a capital outlay it is to build and own and operate an aquatic center. Any idea what the ending price tag, if somebody had to just replicate what y'all have of your aquatic center?
Yeah, so ours was built into the full renovations. So our event center and pool was right around 20 million. I think the pool itself shook out somewhere between 8 and 11. And
Wow.
so that was also an existing one that was being renovated. So some aspects there may have been not as cost effective, but for the most part, the ground was already broke and a lot of the stuff was already here. So a brand new facility may very well be even more expensive than that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then a lot of these aquatic centers really can kind of pay for themselves as far as that ongoing expenses. Maybe speak a little bit about the cost recovery that y'all have and how close you ought to get into recovering 100% of that.
Yeah, so I've worked at a multitude of pools, come from a background with the aquatic center as well and competitive aquatics, which also generates a lot of revenue. But for our community pool, it's quite a blessing. We recover about 80% of revenue, which can be
Mm,
little unheard of in the aquatics world. But yeah, out of about $1 million expense, we recoup around 750,000 of that each
mm,
year. And so it's pretty cool to see the numbers come in, to see the high use, but at the same time, we offer a lot of very affordable and cost recovery
mm.
price points. Do free swimming lessons for the community, so you can bring in that money to generate, make sure you're able to be sustainable, but still make sure you're meeting your community needs as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about Parks and Recreation is even though part of you is kind of, trying to just cover the costs, you still are able to keep the price points available so that everybody can participate in the community pool.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that helps us, we definitely went towards the direction of no longer just being a pool. And so we're classified as an aquatic center. And whenever the leadership team went with the architects to redesign, it went from one large body of water, essentially, a major bathtub, to
Yeah.
where now we have two separate pools, four water sides, a splash pad. One of them is a zero depth entry with the lazy river built into it and a little vortex. So while that price point has increased, it's very much a place that you can stay all day and really justifies that price being a little higher.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me more about that lazy river. I know a lot of people are starting to look at those. Was that an addition to what y'all already had? And kind of roughly what was that an additional expense?
Yep. So whenever they decided to go away from the one big body of water into the two small ones, I think the thought process was, trying to come up with enough unique amenities for the wow factor, but
Hmm.
still something that could accommodate a little bit of high use. And so, the positives are it's very much a wow factor amenity. So the kids love it, the parents love it. We supply all the lazy river tubes. Not sure if you've ever seen the Family Guy episode where they're just clammed in there, kind of like sardines.
Right.
But we don't allow it to get quite to that, but we do about 40 tubes max in there at one time. Everybody's required to be in a tube, have a life jacket if you're under the water depth level, things like that. But yeah, it's a really cool amenity. Definitely comes with some extra surveillance requirements, multiple roving stations in that area to make sure customer safety is met. But yeah, it was a cool one. And then I guess, operational wise, takes a little more maintenance to upkeep. There's a lot more jets on it. Some of the flow requires a little more, I guess, finicky upkeep. But oh,
Mm,
yeah, really cool amenity to add to your pool if you don't have one.
yeah. And so how many lifeguards do y'all need to kind of staff the whole summer?
So we have 32 on roster, and our day-to-day rotation is anywhere from about 13 to 17. We like
Mm.
to be that 15 to 17, but yeah, depending on the day, we can get by with around 13 guards.
Fantastic. All right, so let's go a little bit back into your career. How did you get into Parks and Recreation? Were you involved as a child, or did you kind of discover this profession later in life?
So I've always been a little outdoorsy. Grew up in Scouts. I grew up on a old ski lake, and so grew up canoeing, kayaking, in and out of the water pretty much all summer long with the friends when we weren't in school. I went to school originally for sports management. One of my first, I guess, higher level jobs was at the Greensboro Aquatic Center as their pool technician. And so I thought I wanted to work my way up more into the operations venue management side of things.
Hmm.
A lot of my classes overlapped with what the Parks and Rec course load was for my undergrad. And I think the more I learned about Parks and Rec, the more I felt that appealed to who I was as a person. So as much as I like taking in the chloramines at an indoor pool year after year,
Yeah.
I was very excited to get outdoors. And so I stuck with sports management from my undergrad, but went and got my master's from NC State through their online program while working full time, and then made the jump into Parks and Rec and hadn't looked back since.
Yeah. Now, have you been in North Carolina your whole career?
I have. Yep. So I'm a Florida baby, but I was
Yeah.
pretty much raised here in Greensboro, North Carolina. So yeah, I've been local to this area my entire life.
And y'all have what, I think I wrote down here, 100,000 people. Are y'all with the big city, or are y'all next to a big city, or?
Yep. So City of High Point, it's relatively big on its own. Greensboro is right near us. Charlotte's not far. Raleigh Durham's not far. So we're still small compared to our
Yeah.
neighbors.
Yeah.
But we're very much still large in the sense that we get a lot of resources, cool job opportunities, and the facilities here are pretty cool to work at.
Yeah. Now, I know a lot of Parks and Rec try to focus on this kind of tourist economy, and I would imagine this massive aquatic center and lakefront y'all have kind of participates in driving tourism dollars from the Parks Department back into the community. Maybe speak a little bit more about what y'all's thought process was around how do you bring what are these attractions that kind of bring outside people into your community?
Yes, so I think, going way back to the original park design, it was replicated after Coney Island. And so the
Mm.
idea was to bring in a train, carousel, and different amenities that essentially would draw families here, not only just for lunch, but an entire visit.
Mm.
And so over the years, some of those amenities, whether it be the pool, the train, carousel, have become a real staple for the community. We'll get a lot of family reunions where, the person who booked it may be here local, but 300 to 400 other family members will show
Mm.
up for an all-day picnic in the park, have some really big cookouts. They're buying pool passes, amusement passes, and yeah, it's ended up being a place that the community can really enjoy without breaking the bank.
Oh, I love that. All right, so let's dig a little into your why. So, why have you continued to dedicate your life to parks and recreation, and what do you find fulfilling about working in this career?
So I think one, just being outdoors in a beautiful park when you're able to get out on the lake, do a lake patrol on a patrol boat, take in the weather, makes it a lot harder to have a bad day than it can in an office environment or some of the others. And then on the flip side, kind of every year as I grow, get a little bit more leadership skills, the impact that you have not only on your employees, but the community and getting to witness some of the programs and the events that you do. It's, I guess, related to me is, direct satisfaction like pressure washing. You
Mm.
put in the effort and you almost see it instantaneous on how it impacts the community.
Mm.
And so I enjoy that. It makes the long hours in the summer, that sort of stuff, definitely worth it to keep going.
Yeah. So, if you were advising or coaching a young professional to kind of follow in your footsteps, maybe talk about some of the early skills that you were lacking that you realized, oh, I need to develop this skill. How would you kind of advise your younger self, to be able to better follow where you're at today?
So I would say, don't be scared to get your foot in the door with a role that may challenge you, or it may not be your long-term role necessarily, but getting your foot in the door, showing a really strong initiative, willing to learn. I'm a certification guy, so anytime a department or a company would invest in me to get new certifications, new skill sets, tried to make sure I could get as many of those as possible.
Mm.
And a lot of times, opportunities present themselves to do the workload in a sense prior to the job opening actually being there. So I think if you're willing to take on duties, responsibilities, show your leadership that you are ready when that time comes, I think that could be a
Mm.
huge asset as well.
So, what are some of the key certifications that you might recommend somebody pursue?
So within aquatics, especially as you're trying to grow and set yourself as a standout, the instructor role certifications through the Red Cross.
Mm.
So on the water safety side, you've got your water safety instructor. On the lifeguarding side, you've got your lifeguarding instructor. But there's really no age requirements, and the actual requirements to get certified to the even more elevated ones are not that difficult. Passing the academy can be a little tougher. Definitely have to apply yourself, but the instructor trainer roles are great. So if you're within aquatics and you can justify that, then you can certify new lifeguard instructors for your department without having to outsource that cost. Same on the water safety instructor. So for example, myself as an IT, we can certify our staff as water safety instructors, and then they can teach those free swim lessons without really incurring extra costs along the way.
Mm,
Um, Within Parks and Rec, it sounds kind of minuscule, but I got the pesticide one early on.
mm,
Your certified playground safety inspector, and then I guess doubling back to aquatic, certified pool operator and aquatic facility operator are huge ones.
mm.
So again, none of them are crazy high level. Most of them are open book tests, so not too bad, but definitely will help you out.
Yeah. Now, how has your exposure been to like the facilities maintenance side? Have you done any of that or project management or any of that along the way?
Yeah, so in my Greensboro Aquatic Center days, I was the operation coordinator.
Mm,
So for 4 years, pretty much over all facility maintenance, janitorial, and then kind of front of house and back of house stuff outside of the actual event management roles. And then I guess coming here with City of High Point as the port supervisor, very much responsible for doing all of the amusement operations and inspections. So that's changing track ties, doing fun stuff like that, working on the railroad. We do 80% of the pool maintenance and upkeep ourselves. Some of the larger stuff we'll contract out, like pump repairs and things like that. But yeah, have quite a good bit of experience. And I think being grounded in that role in my aquatic center days gave me a great appreciation of what some of the backbone staff do at a lot of these facilities. They can be overlooked, but they definitely have important roles.
yeah. Now, where's the main revenue coming from a lot of your park systems when we talk about cost recovery? I know concession stands are big, and I imagine you'll have some version of a concession stand at your aquatic center. But what are some of the other buckets that we can speak about?
Yeah. So concessions for us is more cost recovery. We joke all the time that we probably need to increase prices based off how many pizzas and slushies we're making.
Mm,
But very much we've got $3 pizzas, $1 slushies, $2 ice cream, $2 candy. So for us, it's getting the community here, letting them have those amenities, and in that regard, is more cost recovery. But our kind of money makers mostly are the pool daily admissions itself.
mhm.
We do one or two park rentals a year, which bring in some pretty good chunks of revenue. But at the same time, that excludes the community access for that day. So we try to really limit those instances. And then our other big ones, we have 10 shelters that rent throughout the park. They can be rented twice a day. So those bring in a substantial chunk of change. And then our marina and amusement revenue as well. So being 7 days a week, selling those all day passes for the train, carousel, mini golf, between those different kind of, I guess, pots, yeah, that's where most of our revenue stems from.
Man, y'all are running like a little amusement park over there. Sounds like.
Yeah, it is. That's kind of, I guess, one of the cool parts about working here. Every day can be different. One day you may be a railroad guy. Next day you may be an aquatics guy. After that, you may be on the lake running some lake-based programs or doing some boat rescues. And yeah, we get a wide variety of cool stuff out here.
So y'all have basically a little train that goes around, I guess, the park that y'all have, and so y'all are making all the railroad ties and doing all that kind of stuff?
Yep, and so it's classified as an amusement train, but it's very much a large Kubota engine. It's big enough, so we have three passenger cars, probably holds about 60 to 70 people at a time. It's a not familiar how many listeners are familiar, but it's a 24-inch gauge track,
Mhm.
and so a little bigger than some of the smaller 12-inch tracks for the smaller amusement trains. But yeah, each spring we're changing anywhere between 40 to 60 ties, doing track maintenance related to getting it leveled, gravel tamped, and then that one can be a little rigorous inspection wise as well. So really
Yeah.
getting down and dirty on the cars, changing a lot of the bolster rollers, making sure it's safe, that sort of stuff.
Man, it never ceases to amaze me the type of stuff that Parks and Rec professionals have to find themselves, having to get good at. This is another great example. I mean, did you ever think in Parks and Rec that you would be having to maintain a railroad?
Not at all. And again, I'm a hands-on guy, so I definitely enjoy it and it's cool. But yeah, if you would have told me when I finished my master's degree that I'd be out there working on a railroad, driving out ties and doing a lot of the hands-on labor, I probably would have laughed. But
Yeah.
yeah, very much, as you mentioned, you just kind of have to learn and figure it out to keep a lot of the stuff moving.
So where do y'all get the actual rail from? I imagine that's not something you pick up at Home Depot.
No, so we had to put in two brand new switches due to our old ones being original. And in order to get those to fit with the older existing rail, it almost has to be custom ordered. And then so you have the challenge of, do you order way more in advance so you're not paying freight multiple times? Because the freight is ridiculous on that sort of item. But yeah, once we get it here, there's no set standard for how to get it done. So we had to borrow a rail bender, and it's almost trial and error to get everything to match up and still stay within that gauge.
Yeah. Now, what does the gauge mean? Is that how tall the actual track is, the rail?
So the gauge for the width is related to how wide each track is from each other,
I see.
which ensures that the train actually stays on the tracks.
Uh-huh.
And then the actual depth of the rail is a different gauge. So on the smaller side of it, most of your amusement tracks will be like 16 or 18 gauge. And then most of the nicer ones are around a 20 gauge.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of trying to get from the original 16 gauge up to the 20 gauge around the track.
Yeah. Man, that must be a fun job there. So how do y'all pick who's going to drive the train?
So it's actually our seasonal staff. So some of our seasonals, they get a pretty sweet gig. We bring them on for the summer. They rotate between running the concession stand, selling food items, amusement passes for 1 hour. Then the next hour, they'll drive the train. And the hour after that, they operate the carousel. And then that's kind of their rotation for the day throughout the summer.
Oh, they must love that, huh?
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet gig. And then, when we have our big holiday events, it'll be themed out. So for Halloween, you've got all kinds of cool spooky decorations. And then Christmas, we have a 200-foot LED tunnel that it goes through and some other cool stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty sweet gig to be driving the train and getting paid for it.
Oh yeah, that's a heck of a summer job. All right, so we'll take a little short commercial break, and when we come back, I wanted to talk about just everything when it comes to running a lakefront property, because I know y'all have a huge 350-acre lake over there. But let's go ahead and give a big shout out to our two show sponsors today, Outdoor Link. They're one of our earliest sponsors that came on and really supported what we're doing and trying to build a media company for the industry of Parks and Rec. If you have a smart home where everything's controlled by your cell phone, so Outdoor Link helps you become a smart park. So you're in all your infrastructure, your parking lot lights, your bathroom door locks can shut after a certain time. This could be baseball field lights. I mean, you name it. You can pretty much plug anything into their system. And it's all on a very user-friendly app on your phone, iPad, laptop, you name it. And that way, now you might not want to give the power to be able to control the whole city to just anybody, but it's pretty cool how they can just switch the entire city off and on just with the swipe of a finger. And then also the National Academy of Athletics is another great company. He's been with us for a while. Aaron Locks has been running that business, and he partners with Parks and Rec departments. When your community says, hey, we'd love to start a volleyball league or a pickleball league or a flag football league, but you don't really have the staff to do that. So they'll come and run all those programs turnkey. They'll even run your after school camp, and they provide all the coaching, the staff, all the roadmaps and plans and t-shirts and stuff. And so they've partnered with hundreds of Parks and Rec departments across the country. So Carla, why don't you go ahead and run those two promos, and we'll come back and finish up our conversation with John.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs, we're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
All right, let's talk about this massive 350-acre lake. Is it? I'm assuming, is this like a dammed up river, like a reservoir, or is?
It is. Yep. So it's the deep river here in our area, and it runs through here. So it was originally just the river, which they dammed up. Yeah, and so we are now one of 2 lakes for the city of High Point for the drinking water sources.
And then what kind of property do y'all have on the lake?
So we're lakefront on probably about 75% of it, and then there's townhomes, and environmental center on the opposite side of the lake. So some of it is still uninhabited, where it's just city owned, and then others of it is kind of local as well.
And so what type of activity do y'all, or programs do y'all offer?
Yeah, so like day-to-day amenities, we do kayak rentals, single, tandem. We have canoes, paddle boards. Then we do john boat rentals. One of the cool things that we offer as well, we actually rent out the battery and the trolling motor with those also. So you can show up, get out on the water for 3-4 hours, and have a great time fishing. We allow powered and non-powered launches for people that own their own watercrafts. And then on the program side of it, we do some really cool programs like sunset paddles. We do some ACA kayaking 101 classes. During the leaf season, which is real big in this area, we do some fall leaf tours. So we'll partner up with the environmental center across the lake. They'll have a naturalist come on the boat. And those sell out super quick, but yeah, you get a nice little tour around the lake, and actually check out some of the foliage as well.
Now, where we all, so I'm assuming you weren't always there. So how did y'all kind of scale up to your lake programming and your rental stuff that you decided to rent? And then what are some of the big winners of at least stuff that y'all offer?
Yeah, so I think, some of it was trial and error very much. At one point we had pedal boats. In the future, with some of the progressions made with how nice they are and maintenance being a little less intricate now, we may bring those back. But things like the canoes, paddle boards, starting off with small numbers, understanding that if it is high demand, you may have to make some budget requests to truly get to the number you want to serve the community. But don't be scared to just get 1 or 2 of them to see if there's any interest at all. We have some other good partners as well in the area, like Get Outdoors, which is a biking and paddling company. So a lot of times we can almost schedule events that are demos. And so we can notify the community. They'll bring out different styles of boats or equipment, and that way we can kind of gauge, does the community like it? What works? Is it to sit on tops, to sit in kayaks, and kind of what's the best bang for the buck for us as well. Yeah, I think for us, it's the fishing and basic kind of watercraft rentals, and then it's slowly breached into as much as we can fit down by the marina.
Yeah. And so if you were advising someone with waterfront property, that's a Parks and Rec department, what would you maybe recommend them to kind of start as far as rental stuff that y'all have had success with?
Very well, maybe the kayaks and canoes. A lot of it comes down to your staffing and kind of what level of safety options you can provide. So with the city of High Point, we're lucky that we have a pretty strong group of employees down there. We have 2 patrol boats. So, at least for the kayaks and canoes, if there is an issue out on the water, we're very much able to go out there and assist. And it's very common, especially with those John boats, motor may die with somebody on the opposite side of the
Mhm.
lake. They don't have the physical ability to paddle back that far. So, I would maybe opt out from certain things based on your ability to provide the level of service that you can on like the
Mm.
safety and assistance side. So maybe start with like a staffing assessment, maybe like a revenue generation assessment, and then seeing what you can do.
Mm. And who's staffing that? Is that so? Who's in the boat to kind of go rescue people when they get stuck on the other side of the lake?
So we have a full-time marina operator. We have 2 full-time PT, well, they're PTBs, but they're full-time through the summer and then go more limited through the off season. And then we have 2 seasonals underneath them. So our marina staff are actually probably the core backbone staff to the park in the
Mm.
sense that they open and close the park. They're the ones that do the ride through and the work truck, make sure things are good to go when they're opening and closing. And then during the day, they're the kind of ones taking shelter rentals, running out there, doing lake assistance, and doing all those watercraft rentals as
Mm.
well.
Do you have any cabin rentals, or is it pretty much just a daytime operation?
Just daytime. So we have all of the shelters. We're starting to get into some nighttime programming, but we're
Mhm.
taking baby steps. So we have 2 islands on the lake. This fall, we're doing our first island camp out. So we're
Oh,
gonna
nice.
take the sunset paddle one step farther. Everyone will camp out on the island, and then we'll come back the next morning.
Yeah. Do you have any partners, like Boy Scouts or anything like that, that to kind
Yeah.
of use y'all's facilities, partner with y'all?
Yeah, so we partner with the Boy Scouts quite a bit. In the spring, we do a really big Teach a Kid to Fish event. We take about 60 kids. They get free T-shirts, free fishing pole. We get about $1,500 in donations, whether it be the $500 kayak, just different prizes and things they can win when they come out, have a good time. And so, without the Boy Scouts volunteers, 100%, we would not be able to do that event to the level
Yeah.
that we do. And then kind of on the back end of that, it's opened up a whole new avenue for us for cool new projects in the park. So this last year, we did 2 Eagle Scout projects. One of them was a cool seating area down by the walking trail with some nice kind of flowers. And then the other one was a real neat photo op swing, similar to the West Virginia Almost Heaven ones, if you're familiar with them.
Mhm.
But yeah, we built one that says "Cast Your Cares Away" in the back of the park, and was a really nice addition.
Yeah, two of our big show hosts, Dave Ramirez and Papa J, are avid fishermen, and they've been threatening to go find some lakefront Parks and Rec properties and do their show live while they're fishing from the boat. So they may be taking you up on coming to
You're
produce some
welcome
live
in High
shows.
Point. You made me think of a cool program we're hoping to do. So at our sister lake, they did, and I hadn't heard of it till I was over there recently, but they did a fishing trail. It's
Ah,
almost where they set up fish attractors throughout the lake to attract certain types of fish, and then when people pop in at the marina, essentially it guides them there, increases their ability to catch fish. But similar to a nature trail that's interactive, it's a fishing trail that is. So
yeah.
yeah, we have goals to do that here at our park as well, and I just thought that was a really cool thing that I hadn't heard of before.
Yeah, that is cool. So many great ideas in Parks and Rec. Do y'all have a walking trail all the way around it, or a bike trail, or is that something in the future, or what?
So we have a walking trail in the back of the park that connects to the High Point Greenway. And so the full Greenway system can take you from our park in City of High Point all the way to downtown Greensboro.
Mm.
So we're kind of the start of that Greenway connection point within High Point. We really only have one nice paved trail at this point, which takes you to the walking bridge that gets you across the lake to the other part of that Greenway.
Mhm.
But we're looking to do some mountain bike trails in the future and kind of take advantage of some of the little bit of wooded property that we do have left that has been untouched.
Yeah, I know a lot of the park systems will build these mountain bike trails, maybe that are open even for some of the e-bikes and walking trails. And that's just, and you see a lot of communities, especially out in Colorado, where they're actually tying together the different cities all through this trail system network. And so I'm starting to see that happen all over the country.
Yeah, I think that's a big push. I think we were just tied into technically what's called like the East Coast Greenway.
Mhm.
I'm not super educated on it, but from my understanding, you can go from one of the northern states on the East Coast all the way down to about Georgia right now.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the NCRPA, the North Carolina Recreation and Parks Association. What's been your involvement with that?
Yeah, so I was lucky, signed up to serve on the professional development committee and was chosen. So within that role, we meet once a month, look at the future calendar coming up for what sort of programs are going to be, conduct surveys, and work with the full-time professional development coordinator through NCRPA to really try to make sure we're meeting needs of the state, um, I guess, department in that sense. And so,
Mm.
yeah, it's a neat opportunity. You get to see some of the back end of it, witness some of the data that's coming in, really see what interests people, and then just have a little say in kind of what cool things come up.
Yeah. Now, is there you'd mentioned something about professional development through the state association. What's your involvement there, and kind of what do they offer for people coming into the industry?
So various workshops. So if you're in maintenance, there's playground safety inspector ones, there's pesticide study courses, there's access to those actual certification opportunities. Recently, we did one called the NCRPA Exchange, which was simply a low-cost networking event to get access to vendors. If you were going to host a special event, it gave you access to people like inflatable companies, face painters, and that was a $15 price point. So, a lot of
Mm.
times to attend workshops, it's a little more costly than that. And so it's trying to find a variety of opportunities that people can learn, grow, and attend. And so another example, they do an outdoor and adventure workshop. The last one was at a Chapel Hill Rec Center where they have an indoor rock climbing wall. So got to do some rock climbing, learn about magnet fishing, and some other cool stuff. So
Mm.
yeah, real wide variety of workshops and educational opportunities.
What's magnet fishing?
So essentially going into a creek with a magnet on a rope or string and seeing what you can catch.
Ah,
And so on the environmental education side of it, a lot of it is actual litter cleanup. You may be catching more trash than actual cool stuff, but you get to educate the people in attending of the issue. They see some of the stuff that's pulled out, which can be shocking. And then sometimes, they do find some really neat, cool things, and it's just a way to get them down in a creek normally where they don't normally go.
yeah. What are some of the things y'all pulled up?
Um, anything metal, yeah, old tire rims,
Yeah,
rusty screws. Yeah, I don't know if I ever found anything super cool, mostly trash, but that's okay.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so one thing I'd like to do is kind of go over y'all. I know y'all just finished y'all's or right in the middle of your CAPRA certification. So tell us about that journey. And this is this y'all's first time?
So this is the reaccreditation. So the
Mm.
department was already accredited. And then from my stance, this is, I guess, my first involvement in a reaccreditation process. And so just learning about some of that process, developing the chapters to meet some of the requirements. And so while it didn't help actually develop some of those, we all had to attend trainings and seminars to make sure we were up to speed when those visitors came into town. And so yesterday they took a tour of the different rec centers. They stopped by our park. We showed them around the pool, playground, the different facilities, and just trying to really show them the impact of what High Point Parks and Recreation does.
Yeah. And I know a lot of cities, they kind of dread this. Maybe talk about what are some of the more challenging things that y'all had to kind of get organized to push through the CAPRA certification.
So I think from hearing from our directors and our leadership, the toughest part is not saying what you do, but as part of the reaccreditation process, you almost have to prove what you do.
Mm.
So, you can have it in the manual saying this is the policy, this is how we operate, but it's finding the back end documentation to prove that you actually meet those things.
Mm.
So whether it's in-service training agendas that go back the 3 to 4 years, or things like that, just really making sure that you're up to speed. One of the cool takeaways for me, from our assistant director, was in the sense of, while it would be very disheartening to not get reaccredited, just the learning experience of getting up to speed on what the expectations are, what the best practices are, that, you're going to be in a better place whether you get reaccredited or not, just because you did so much work to kind of take that next step forward.
Right, right. Yeah, because I really like how you said it. So it's not just a plan. You have to show them how you're working the plan and show evidence that this is our. So what are the evidence that you're proving? Like this is how we train our staff. This is how we. Is there? I'm sure there's a safety component on there. What are some of the other things that they look for?
Yeah, so there's, I think, about 9 different chapters, and I apologize not recalling all of them, but yeah,
Yeah.
some of them were related to fiscal management, You had the safety personnel side of it, all the way down to, your facility emergency action plans, the trainings on those. And then a lot of it as well is ADA accessibility. Are your facilities truly accessible if you say they are? What those kind of standards are, and even if they don't meet those needs, do you have the goals to get there in the future? And so, yeah, I know. I think within our leadership task, about every single one of them was assigned a chapter or two and spent multiple weeks on it trying to make sure that they met what the reaccreditation, I guess, auditors were looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really not just the director and the assistant director. It's kind of like the entire staff is really contributing to pushing these documents through there.
Yeah, and that part was kind of cool to see. When we attended the seminar, it was very much evident from the directors too that they very much trusted the leaders under them that specialized in each of those roles. Because as you mentioned, it wasn't the director drafting each chapter. It was almost, the recreation superintendent for the policies and chapters that fell under recreation, and then the special facilities superintendent for the special facilities ones. So it was kind of cool to see that breakdown and then see everybody come together to try to make it happen.
Okay, so one of the things we do towards the end of the show, I'd like you to help me pitch the industry. So imagine, John, you're sitting in front of like a group of college kids that are really undecided with what they want to do with their life and career. What would be your testimony to them as why they may want to give a second look or maybe even a first look to the Parks and Rec industry?
So I don't know if this is the best pitch, but sometimes if all you're doing is chasing money, it can be stressful. And you may not get there as fast as you want, but within Parks and Rec, every day is honestly fun. It's some of the best people to work with. When you network, attend conferences, I don't think I've ever met a bad person in Parks and Rec. So I think we're the funnest group of people. I think our job roles contain the most fun aspects, and you get to be in the environment you love. So if you're outdoorsy, you love nature, at some point in your career path, you probably will have the chance to develop programs, create facilities, and really do things that you enjoy, and also that other people enjoy those same things. So yeah, Parks and Rec, in my opinion, is just the best field. But
yeah. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years, and then also where do you see Parks and Rec as an industry heading?
so I think it's continuing to grow. I know a lot of times, as the industry as a whole, there's the thought of like job security, but mental health very much is tied into outdoor recreation, and parks and recreation. So I don't think we're going anywhere, and I think as an industry we can continue to prove that these are necessity things for people to learn, whether it's sports and recreation as a kid when you're growing up, or it's the safe kind of outdoor spaces for people to attend in their free time. And then me personally, I'm a hands-on guy, so maybe 10 to 20 director level role would be awesome. But for right now, work my way up, but still have the ability to be hands-on. I enjoy running heavy equipment, so when we get things like the skid steers in here, backhoes, I like hopping on those and tearing up some stuff as well.
Oh yeah, I love that. Me too. Yeah, and I think like kind of doubling down on what you said, I think the Parks and Rec industry is going to thrive in this future robotics and AI driven world. I mean, I do think probably sooner than later, robots and AI is going to be doing almost everything for us. But one thing it won't ever be able to do is to go relax in the park or spend time with your child. You're not going to tell your robot, go take care of my kid, or go attend a birthday party, or can you imagine telling a robot to go relax for you? That's something you got to
You're not wrong. And so you can have an automatic kayak rack that rents the kayak out, but you still got to have the lake and the people to operate it. So.
Yeah. I see this industry actually having a lot more community engagement as we have more free time, and Parks and Rec is at the heart of every community. So I see this industry thriving into the future. All right, I got a question for you.
All right.
So a little tradition we also have at the end of the show is we ask our previous guests to leave you a question. And so this question comes from Gian in Doral, Florida, another waterfront community over by Miami. And he says, if you could pick any position in Parks and Rec, what would it be and why? And it can't be like a director or leadership position.
So no leadership position at all?
Yeah, it's got to be something like driving the train or concession stand or scorekeeper or coach, something like that.
I think one of the marina staff. You get a really personal relationship with the fishermen and the community that come in day after day. And then
Mhm.
just being a water guy, you know, when they have to go out and do a rescue, they're hopping on a patrol boat, high speed across the lake, wind in the hair, or no hair in my example.
Yep.
But it's a cool role. You know, you're going out on the beach, dropping kayaks. You get to do some of those paddle programs. So yeah, for me, marina operator, or one of those marina seasonals probably would be that job.
Oh, yeah, that's a dream. That's a good retirement job too.
Yes. Well, yeah, and then we have a pontoon boat, so, you know, part of it's just driving the pontoon boat around the lake while people take their little tours, so, yeah, it's
Man, y'all have
work
a
if
ton
you
of
can call it
cool
that.
entry-level part-time jobs over there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of a blessing, and I guess similar to your intro where Wesley mentioned people through the 4 years, we very much get them as freshmen, and they'll stay until they go to college, and if they're local, they're here another year or 2, but, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
cool place, it's been a blessing to be at, and, yeah, the kids definitely enjoy it out here.
Well, yeah, we got a little bit of time left. Maybe talk about staff retention, and because if you get a lifeguard for the freshman year and they don't come back after that, and you got to find another one. So, like you said, ideally you'd want to keep them their entire high school, maybe even into college. What are y'all doing? What have y'all found that you're doing right to keep them coming back summer after summer, year after year?
So I think as a department, you know, as far as pay goes, they make it very competitive.
Mhm.
We start our guards at 17.45. If they stay through July 4th, they get a $250 bonus, and then if they
Wow.
stay through the end of the summer, they get another 250. We do employee referral bonuses as well. So if they refer a friend that is successfully hired and stays on through duration of the summer, they can get a kickback for that also. Some kind of cool benefits as well. You know, they're able to use the pool for free. If they have family or friends on a reasonable kind of amount, that is okay as well. And then just giving them opportunities to learn and grow outside of that. So a lot of our employees will do internships from a park operations standpoint. If there's certifications that are applicable to them, we try to, you know, invest them in that regard as well. But yeah, it's very much a serious, high-paced environment, but we try to make sure it's fun as well. We understand
Yeah.
their kids going through their high school, college days, so just make sure it's a nice, healthy environment.
Yeah, fantastic. That's some good advice there. All right. So, what question would you like to leave from our next guest?
Hmm, let's see. I guess in the world of Parks and Rec, where sometimes there's a divide between actual Parks and Rec, if you had to choose one side of it for the rest of your career, which would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. All right. So, what's your answer to that one? If you had to pick between parks or rec, which one are you going towards?
I think I'm going parks. And maybe that's because the park that I'm at, I get enough recreation stuff that it still meets some of those like underlying driving factors. But yeah, for me, I would say park side has my heart.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that really is all the green spaces and, the kind of the beauty of the city. I mean, I love all the programs are just amazing, and that's kind of where the community comes together. But they're coming together on that gorgeous place that you've built. And that I guess I'm a builder at heart, and I know a lot of seems like you are too. You like to kind of get down and dirty and build the park system.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, like we built our own park hours sign. So yeah, getting hands on, enhancing those spaces, the beautification projects. Yeah, it's definitely some of the good stuff for me.
Yeah. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing with us all that's going on over there at your beautiful community at High Point, North Carolina. I'll have to get our two show host fishermen over there to kind of see your park, and maybe they can produce some live shows from it. That would be really cool.
Thank you, Craig. I really appreciate you having me on today.
Yep. Have a great day. Take care, John.
Thank you, you too. Take
Bye bye.
care.
All right. That's another great episode. I love how we get to see and highlight all the different park systems and the amenities that they offer and the programming. It's just amazing. And another great example, you never know what's going to be thrown in your lap when you're in parks and recreation. I mean, I'm sure John could have never predicted he has to figure out how to build and maintain a railroad, doing all the ties and that's just classic Parks and Rec. You never did a farmer's market. Next thing you know, they want you to run that or a zoo or you name it, or a lazy river. But man, Parks and Rec professionals are so good at just figuring this stuff out, because so if you happen to be running some train track, now you've got somebody you can ask for advice. I'm sure John wouldn't mind if you reached out to him. He can kind of tell you what not to do, what to do, along with a lazy river. He also gave some really good advice on how to handle your rentals and what type of things you want to choose to rent out for lakefront property. Just this industry is such a good resource and network, and hopefully with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we can kind of get the word out on what's working well across the country and give y'all some good ideas. All right, so that's all we have for y'all on the leadership series. Hang tight. We've got Aaron Locks getting ready to. Why don't we go ahead and Carlo? Can you put up the Aaron Locks U Sports Mastery promo thing? That little visual that we made. There it is. All right. There's the man himself, Aaron Locks, getting ready to do 2 shows a week. Soon you'll be able to see him probably in the next 4, maybe 6 weeks. We're going to do a second show every week on Tuesdays, 4:30. That way our people out in California, which is where he's from, can see a show that's a little bit later in the day. But he's coming up next. I don't even know what guest he has right now, but he always has amazing guests. He was telling me about it yesterday. So anyway, that's every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, soon to be every Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday at 4:30, Thursday at 1:30. Hang tight, go grab another cup of water, and we'll be right back with the U Sports Mastery Show. That's all I have for y'all today. Love you guys. See y'all tomorrow. Bye.
This episode is brought to you by SDSU's Sports MBA program. If you're passionate about sports and want to work in the women's sports industry, then this is the time to pay attention. SDSU's program is 12 months accelerated hands-on learning where students have actually gotten to work with teams like the San Diego Mojo, partnered with the Farmers Insurance Open, and visited headquarters like the Upper Deck or Callaway Golf. It's built for people who want to be in rooms like that. So if you're interested, deadlines are approaching. Learn more or apply with the links in the description.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.